So we got my guy Rob Rich here from Hampton University, the real HU.
Oh,
Um, Rob, professional dancer, choreographer, super artistic, creative person in your own right. Maybe could you just give a little bit about what what brought you to Hampton in the first place, and that's how that came about, and maybe a little bit about your experience there and what being an HBCU graduate means to you.
yeah. So really, that's a really easy answer as to what brought me there. I actually just went on a college tour. Me and one of my best friends at the time, um, and we were sold. Like from the time the first foot that I stepped on campus, I was like, "Oh yeah, I got to go here." Coming from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, like I come from, you got the good parts, so you got the bad parts. I don't come from the good part, right? So when I stepped into Hampton, Virginia, it was a level of Black excellence that I had, in my opinion, never experienced before in such a magnitude. Um, it just was overwhelming, to be honest, and that was literally on just the college tour.
Mm.
So that kind of sold me, and then thankfully, I got accepted, as well as my best friend. We both went, ended up being like roommates in James Hall. um
Dance Hall. Yes,
Good
sir.
old James.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then just to answer the second part of the question, like going to Hampton for me, I think maybe everyone's college experience, like they say, it's like the 4 years, your best 4 years. And I think that in some ways that's really true. You make a lot of mistakes when you're in college. But you're also under the umbrella of still being like growing into, an adolescent, growing into an adult.
Mhm.
Um, so I learned a lot of life lessons in those 4 years. And thankfully those life lessons were around a lot of people, one that culturally were like me, so they understood where I was coming from, because a lot of those life lessons didn't always happen on campus. Maybe
True.
they happened off campus. And if you know anything about the states in Virginia, it can be a little taxing as a Black male.
Hmm.
um, so life lessons learned in that aspect, as well as even business wise, what I do, I think I learned a lot more from Hampton University and the people, because I went to school for business and marketing and already started to do marketing, promotions, throwing events while I was in school. And a lot of that was like me already being active in the field, as
Definitely.
opposed to just being in the books, taking the test, you know what I mean? Like getting a degree, which I got in honors, by the way. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Um,
So the honors.
but on top of that, more specifically going to a HBCU, like there is just so much, it's rich in culture.
Mm.
Like it's so rich in a way that you almost can't put into words.
That's real.
Um, I miss it all the time, even creatively. A lot of the things that I do, or that come to fruition, or that I create, or even share, come from the HBCU culture and experience. I
Mm.
just recently left a rehearsal, um, that was inspired by the Beachella performance, right? And
Okay.
we all know that that's just literally about homecoming, what it
Mhm.
means to go back for homecoming at a Black school. Like that's all it's about. So she kind of put us on a platform when she did that, of which I was really excited, because I think she was very respectful in the way that she delivered, and I think that it was awesome. Um, and since then, of course, more people around the world, like always, I think when it comes to Black culture, have been heavily interested in what it is. So it also gives the opportunity to share that culture, but more than anything, to educate, because I truly believe that cultural exchange will save humanity. I think the more that we know about each other, the more we understand our differences and know that they make us also very similar.
Mm.
Uh, so HBCU for me is it, man.
Yeah.
Like I would never
I can tell with the
trade.
look on your face right now, just talking about it.
Yeah, man, I would never trade the experiences that I've had there, from, like the step shows, to being able to watch and experience like Greeks live and in person, the parties, the Highland jams, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so many, the starting of the first dance crew that I ever did. Like I didn't know that that was going to be my career choice.
Mm.
So even in that way, Hampton University kind of launched my creative career, because for me it was just like at the moment like a hobby to be more socially active on campus.
Yes.
Like I'm going Fortune 500. I'm going into one of these little Fortune 500 companies. I'm about to be out here millionaire, and
Yeah.
that was my mindset. And
But when did you
clearly,
start
things
dancing
was
then?
something else.
So when did you start dancing at Hampton, or was there like anything you had
Realistically, I
before?
danced. I like danced a little bit before, but it wasn't ever like for me. It wasn't like a thing. Like this is what I'm going to do. It was like culturally, like I'm at home. We in the streets. This a barbecue. We hitting the step.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay.
Um, and then it just kind of my cousin dared me to do this talent show with him. I did that. He made the choreography and I kind of danced in it, and people recognized. They were like, you're really good. I'm like, yeah, it's fun, but I can dance at a party, but I'm not taking it seriously.
Hmm.
Um, so I had did a couple things, like a couple shows, like the talent shows, stuff like that, while I was in Philly, but I never had any formal education when it came to dance.
Gotcha.
Um, so when I got to Hampton, going off of what I knew, I just was literally pulling what I learned in the streets and like, let's put something together.
Yeah, that's lit. And that's funny because like my experience was actually very similar. Like I had always danced like my whole life, pretty much. You just know being a part of the culture. And me and my friend, Chris Brown, not the Chris Brown, but Hampton Chris Brown. We
Uh-huh.
just walked in it as almost like of a joke, kind of almost, because we really weren't expecting anything. And before you knew it, here we are dancing on this team, and here I am 12 years later, got a big brother out here as a professional dancer. And it's just like the craziest thing ever. But dance being something that was just so powerful. I think for us, just having this like family that we have out of Hampton, because like I consider TT from Oracle my blood sister. She's not blood, but like I consider her my sister. Same with Crystal, same with Dante, Marcel, like Chris. Like these are my family. Like TT just texted me an hour ago saying happy birthday. From yesterday, because my birthday was yesterday.
Well, happy
letting
belated, man.
appreciate you, man. Just like letting me know how much like I mean to her, and that's a foundation that y'all laid out. So we want to like say thank you for doing that for us, bro. Because like, and that's something I think that HBCUs in general just do for people. They provide this family, and I'm Greek, but even outside of just being Greek, there's just so many people that I consider, like I would do anything for. And that's like what I got out of it. But that's just through dance. So taking it down that path of just dance, how is that now? Do you have like those same experiences like within any crews like since Hampton? Like I know that tours can be very taxing, and a lot of the time you have to come together as family. So what's that like now on the other side now that you're in the professional world?
Professional realm is crazy because again, I still can pull back from my HBCU experience. So 2013, which is now what, 8 years ago, I started a global company called Richband. Um, and basically like an international like platform of support when it comes to the entertainment industry. Excuse me. Um, and like you said, I've been in this, I have been working in the industry, and I had found that I didn't have that thing like that I had when I was at Hampton. I didn't have that family base besides the realistically the Hampton family that moved to LA with me, right? That's another thing. The people that I moved to LA with
For
were
Hampton?
literally part of, yeah,
Yeah,
were from Hampton, part of Oracle. Um, so that was that. And I just kind of was like, I need that support system. I need that feeling. I was feeling like, like a whole like it's crabs in the barrel out here. It really is. The entertainment industry is extremely cutthroat. Like that's not a joke. Um, so I developed this thing to pretty much bring that back, that feeling back to me. Thankfully, it's been going successfully for 8 years, and it is that. It
nice.
is that. It's the feeling of what we did or at Hampton with Oracle, but now in over 30 countries worldwide with over like 170 members.
Okay.
So I can literally go anywhere in the world and realistically don't have to stay in a hotel because there are people that are like family to me. Like I got Italian mom and dad, Spanish mom, you know what I mean? Like it's incredible. But I will say that stemmed back again from HBCU culture. And like you said, the feeling of the family just being present, which is also on
Man,
my
that's
arm,
real.
how important that is.
Yeah.
Um, but Yeah, I think that pretty much answers that question. Like Rich Fam for me is exactly that. When it comes to the entertainment industry and dance.
Gotcha. That's lit. If I recall correctly, I think that you worked with John Chu some years back.
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? Because I didn't even know this, but me and my girlfriend were watching Crazy Rich Asians, and I
Mm-hmm.
saw his name, and I was like, I'm gonna ask Rob about this. I know I have this interview with Rob coming up. So, is there anything that you learned from him? So I know, like, to get to that level of success, it takes a certain level of dedication. Um, Throw a little bit of luck in there or whatever, but hard work as well. Is there
Mm-hmm.
anything that you learned about just like success or just anything from working with him that you think that is
Um,
applicable for other people in other industries, maybe?
I think maybe the one thing that I learned from John, because me and John, we worked together. I think that work relationship, while it was extensive at the time because of what we were doing, it still was kind of, see what I'm saying?
Sorry, you
We
cut
were
out for a
also
second.
cool. Did I cut off?
Yeah. What it was what?
I said while that the work relationship, while it was like extensive because of the project that I was working on, it was also kind of brief, if that
Okay.
makes sense, you
Gotcha.
know? I did also know him outside of that because a lot of my big brothers out here, like we're like best friends, we were running in the same circle.
Hmm.
So I think with that said, what I did learn from him is just dedication. Like at that time, John Chu was shooting, some things, but he had LXD, which was I was a part of the League of Extraordinary Dancers, which was just kind of like a show that he was putting together. He had found to my knowledge, I believe he found some sponsors or investors or something like that, and he kind of basically was doing the whole project himself. And I know from that project, a lot of people started looking at him, especially when it came to in terms of shooting dance because he was one of the few people at the time that really could capture it in a special way and in a way that made just, I think, dance look great.
Hmm.
So I think being on set with him, being around him, the one thing that I learned is just to continue,
Hmm.
like to not stop. Because now like you said, I look and I'm like, I go to see the movies and it's like John Chu. I didn't even know that he directed that as well.
Yeah.
Immediately, like send him a message like, congratulations, man! Wow, that's amazing. As well as some of the other films like the GI Joe and like he just is going, 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 and I'm sure he's just going to continue to do even greater things.
Dope. And when it coming back to you, what is something I guess that if you were talking to the younger version of you, like the 20-year-old Rob, or just it's the 20-year-old kid out here trying to make it, trying to figure out what they want to do, what would you tell them? Because, like you said, you thought you were going to work at a Fortune 500 company, you were majoring in marketing, and now you took a completely different path from like JP Morgan to like dancing. So, like, what advice would you give young people or
Um,
anyone, I guess?
I think the first thing that I would say is just, it's really cheesy, but just to believe in yourself. And I think that in 2021, that's so much harder than what it feels like, or it should be, I should say. It's so much harder than what it should be. Like, we live in a new age where everybody is waking up constantly to literally compare themselves to somebody else. Um, and I think that that's really difficult in general just to live, especially if you have goals that you're trying to set, because I think those goals continuously are set in comparison with other people. But with that said, it's like your path is your path, and these are things that you don't want to hear when you're young. You know what I mean? It's like nobody wants to hear like just be patient. Sorry if this plane I'm over here and it's going. Nobody wants to really hear like be patient. Enjoy the process. The journey is the most important. At this age and even at this level of success, I still don't want to hear it. I'd be like, look, I want it now. You know what I mean? I'm impatient. I want this goal to be accomplished right here, right now. But I would literally say, one, believe in yourself, and then just work hard, but consistently. Like, you gotta work hard consistently, and realistically, it's going to pay off. Um, and it sucks to hear that, but I think that's literally what I would say. Like, especially if I had to go to my younger self, I'd be like, look, I know that you're impatient. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep working hard, or elevate that even more, stay consistent in the elevation, you know what I mean, of that process. But just keep pushing forward. And that's literally what I could give to anyone. Like it's the cheesy thing, but it's so true. It's so honest.
Oh, and I guess to that also, what are some of the who are some of the artists that you've been able to work with? If you mind throwing a few names out there.
Yeah. My first job in LA actually was with Lady Gaga. So that was cool. Um, some people that I really have been happy to work with. A very memorable one for me is Jill Scott because I'm from Philly,
Okay,
and that's hometown hero.
Queen
So that just
Scott.
was like, and I'll probably work with some names that are bigger than that people are like,
Yeah,
like Mariah Carey, for example. I did Mariah Carey's contributed choreography to her world tour, also her Vegas shows for years. And then also more recently, Sierra, her most recent tour was also contributing choreographer for that. Um, and then of course there are a whole bunch of other stuff
yeah,
sprinkled in between. I've been thankful to work with cool stuff working it, and I'm extremely thankful and grateful for all those opportunities.
for sure. And is there any like specific advice you would give to people who maybe want to, if their dream is to work with the Mariah Carey, or their dream is to work with one of these major artists, like anything specific to those in the entertainment industry?
I would say to do your homework. I think diligent research and like that, it really plays into everything. If these are the artists that you want to work with, you got to know who's in their camp. You got to know who's choreographing for them. You got to know what the choreographer style is. You need to know who the artistic director is. Like you got to do your homework. I feel like in all other career choices, we're properly prepared, but because the entertainment industry is so like volatile for lack of better words, it's just like all over the place.
Mm,
There kind of isn't like a solid like this is the pathway to success, this is the way to do this, and it's going to take you here, this is the way. Whereas it's like if I'm a lawyer, I got to go to law school, after law school I got to do this, after this I got to do that.
for sure.
So I would say just do your diligence, and when it comes to research about the artist, the choreographer, the industry in its entirety, audition process, agencies, all those things. Because the more work you put into the preparation for the career choice, I think the more likely you are to succeed.
For sure, and that's with anything. So it's really good to hear that with dance. I never really even looked at it like that myself. But that you have a really strong point that I think a lot of people overlook. Uh, and so I guess like closing out, where can someone get one of those shirts from? Are those for sale anywhere?
Oh, you see it?
Yeah.
Mm, mm.
Oh,
I gave y'all two step. So the collab line with Rob the Rich, this is actually not my brand. I have been sponsored by this company for like 3 years. And of course, everybody just assumes like that's his, because
yeah.
when I was at HU, I was into fashion too, right?
Mhm.
Um, but it's the collab. I finally, after like being sponsored by them for 3 years, collab with them. The shirts are at robtherich.com. So literally how it's spelled here,
Okay.
.com. And you're looking for the Rob the Rich / the Rich Fam collab.
Okay.
It's three t-shirts and one hoodie. The hoodie looks exactly like this with this color.
Okay. Nice. So everybody out there that likes this shirt, you know where to get it. So I'll throw a link in the description as well for that.
Um,
Well, all right, Rob. Well, like again, I say just thank you again for laying that foundation in Hampton, man. I don't even know if you realize just how many like little brothers and little sisters you got out here just looking up to you, and even though maybe you don't talk to them or hear from them, they're watching you. So
oh
just
man,
keep it
I
up, man.
appreciate
And
that.
I really appreciate you personally, and you've been nothing but inspiration to me, bro.
It's wonderful to hear that, man. You have no idea how much it means, because it doesn't matter how much I do, like those things that mean that the things that mean the most to me. Like hearing this made my day, maybe my week and month. Um,
That's what it's
it's
all about.
it's literally great to hear that, especially that you're keeping in touch with everybody that you came through Oracle with. Like I think that that's
Definitely.
phenomenal, life-changing experiences that we can contribute just from HBCU days. So,
Every
yo,
year.
bro, thanks for having me so much. I really appreciate it. I'm wishing the best of luck with everything that you do. And I'm here, man. So keep in touch even more.
Most definitely. I got you. Let me get one of those shirts too.
My man.
All right, bro. Peace.
Peace.